Dude. Dude. Hey.
I owned it 4 people.
You finally joined.
I know, what the hell? I knew I was forgetting something. It's like, yo, look, dumbass. You can't kill Kushala because all it does is in the arena, like a scaredy cat, and not come down. You're using dual blades. Wall vaulting. Yeah, use wall vaulting to get through, to help out with your dual blades, and clutch claws really help out. Rock steady mantle, and if you can do anything about it, try to get wind resist. I can't help you much more else. Dual blades versus Kushala is torture. Oh no. I might have to shut my door between us.
Yeah, I've been hearing you the entire time.
Yeah, I might have to shut the door, which means I'm gonna have to turn my AC instead of just stealing the AC from the living room. Yep, nope, that's everything. You're about to switch over to heavy bowgun because you hate him so much. But Kushala has this dumb thing where you need piercing shot to get through his wind aura. I hate to say this, but if you are having a hard time and you want to keep your mobility up, Insect Glaive is really good against Kushala. I hate to say that because I'm not a fan of Insect Glaive. Don't ask me why, I don't know, I just don't like it. It's a really good weapon. Really, really good. One of the more powerful weapons in this game, but yeah. It's rough. It's rough for me because, like, I don't want to use the good thing. Looks over at Longsword, how dare you! Hey, sexy. How's your day been? Insects. Gotta make use of those botanical researches? Yeah. Alright. No, I don't need to armor skin up until after we get the cannons loaded. I mean, free ammo. Oh, my Fatalis setup has the Ghillie Mantle to load up the cannons and get the first, like, 10 shots free. If you want to just go ham on him, I can also set up for that. I'm just going to switch over the Ghillie to the Fireproof Mantle. Oh! Yeah. Hell yeah! Rise is very fast-paced and incredible gameplay. Yes, it is. I wish it didn't have the reputation that other people put onto it, because it doesn't have the graphical fidelity of, like, Wilds and World. The thing that you hate more with Kushala is if you don't have Mind's Eye, you can't do damage. You can do damage without Mind's Eye. I use Charge Blade. I do damage all the time. I'm not very good at it. Yeah. And that's just it. Rise was a Nintendo game. Alright, we are going to just eke that cannon over a little bit. One more time? Nope, too far. I'm still learning. This is my second attempt on Fatalis. Oh, I was ecstatic that it came to PC. I have like 1,200 hours in Rise, and I've enjoyed most of them. Alright. Yeah, it's that one. Yeah, focus mode does have the ability to absolutely trivialize the combat, especially for early game and mid game. Well, I say early and mid, but that's just freaking. Until you get to like the arch-tempered monsters, focus mode trivializes it. Rise is easy, but Sunbreak. Sunbreak is evil. Sunbreak makes you think that you're like you have any form of control over it, and then it just nails you in the face with Garen Golem. How do you get commission tickets? Oh shit! I'm an idiot. There we go. How do you get commission tickets? You want the Defender 3? I think it's Elder Dragon events quests are how you get commission tickets, or Elder Dragon investigations, something like that. Damn! Divine Blessing failed me. Holy shit. Ow, I was not lined up for that. Thought I hit it. Yeah, you're just gonna use the less OP charge blades? Alright. Yeah, on the bright side, that's saved. Oh, I should have grabbed the... I can't go now. Oh well. I should grab the fireproof mantle.
I have a Seraphino cube in Italy.
Oh no! You know, if we're attacking his legs, we might as well soften them up.
What are you doing? Huh?
Come on, thumbs, work. You are fighting Fatalis, you are not allowed to not work. Charge blade is one of the easiest weapons. I don't believe you. Charge blade is a rhythm game of a weapon, and I am losing today. This is not good. I need to lock the fucking samurai. Charge blade does amazing DPS. I'll give it that. I don't know. I like Charge blade because it gave me the fluidity between heavy mode and light mode. I'm just right now being real shit at keeping up to it. Come on, you solo to Latrion, you can dodge Fatalis.
Can I just say SteamOS can't come soon enough? To like desktop, not just handheld computers.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to turn you down a little bit because your emergency mic is not balanced.
Well, this is just the laptop microphone.
Still, I'm gonna have to turn you down because you are very loud in my ears.
Same, you are very loud.
Okay. Can't use any DPS because I have to do some adjusting. Okay, volume turned down. Can you say something quick?
Test.
Oh, I'm
test,
just
test.
down a little more. Nope, not that far. Good enough. Okay, say something again.
Test, test, test.
Okay. Yes, that is Silver. And how is Silver doing? He has moved locations because of freaking ants.
Today's been pretty bad.
I can't believe got a fucking paralysis off. Summer heat, they want some cold. That's half of it.
They've already been in my room, but not like this.
Yeah. Come on. Jeez. Okay, when does fucking like Divine Blessing activate? Because this is ridiculous. And up we come. There we go. Get a nice guaranteed at least. Set him onto his forelegs. Oh, never mind, we have to run. Yeah, the chainsaw mode is always fun. Shit mobility, but it's a fun. Yeah, I can put on the Rocksteady mantle at least. And I have heavy artillery, so might as well take advantage of this. Oh, okay. That's not where I wanted to be, but I'll take it. Alright. Fatalis is slower. But he does hit way harder. And I am not feeling the activation of Divine Blessing at all. The only thing that you don't like in Rise is that you can climb the monster? Retranslate to English? Oh, shit. Hey, I survived. Oh, you don't like the auto mounting mechanic? Is that what you're saying? Oh god. There's a way to turn that off. If that's what you're having an issue with. Oh, no, I missed. How am I supposed to heal if I miss? I thought I had a free meal. I'm not feeling anything activate. What the hell? Other than resentment, that's an auto. No, you idiot! Why? Yeah, for when I'm playing Monster Hunter Rise, I have the auto mount turned off. Like, other people can do it, but... Yeah. I need to get away from this one ledge. It's gonna get me killed. Ah. Ow, my soul. That was a hard knockdown. Now that's something I hate. Is this game does hard knockdowns? Like, you can't stand up now because you've been bamboozled! Hey, there's a free meal. I think that's the second one I've seen on Quest. Yeah. I'm sorry? Okay, I guess we're going this way. And of course he doesn't hit the thing, he just... The recovery timer in the game gives enough time to eat a 5-star meal, go skydiving, and get a mansion. You guys get enough money for a mansion? You prefer the world mechanic. Okay. Shit. Okay, fine. We'll do it this way. Flop that over. Yeah, we're not getting this one. We're on stage 2, and... There we go. Yo, French? I'm sorry to hear that, Noah. Sorry to hear that you're having English troubles. I have English troubles too. The problem is that English is my only language. You have an excuse. You're at least bilingual. You're doing French and English? Alright. Fuck you. You know what? No. Yeah, I deserve that. I decided to get damage in. How many times is Shepard gonna be launching Final Fantasy? It's like every time I look down, I get a notification. Shepard is launching Final Fantasy 14. It's like I can't see my potions. That could have gone way better. More better at speaking. Yeah. Well, that's pretty typical. Like, I couldn't read Spanish at all, but I at least know enough Spanish to know when I'm getting yelled at. Do it. I did it. Fuck. Oh, the lever. On, out. There we go. But you know what you can see? Shepard playing exactly.
Hey there, Panda.
Panda's joined you? Excellent. I didn't get a spawn broken.
Not great, but it is what it is. How are you doing?
That's so wiggly. Spanish doesn't count. You can, sorry, I'm going to have to read that way later because... Oh no. I died 5 times. Okay. Spanish doesn't count. You can feel when Latin words angry at you before they start yelling. Ah, okay. Oh, we got the fail wing at least. Okay. We're gonna need commas. Yeah. So many commas.
Yeah, it was a bunch more stuff than just that, Panda, but yeah.
Panda asking what, was it just the ants or anything else on top of that?
No, but he was saying, I know the ant infestation is frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one of the things there is in Silver's wall is a stupid gap between where the floor and the wall meet.
Well, to be more specific, the carpet, where it meets the wall, there's about like a 1 or 2 inch gap between the bottom of the
Not 1 or
carpet.
2 inches, but it's a good half inch. That's still colossal and unacceptable.
But anyway, it's from the bottom of the carpet to the top of the wood floor. There's quite a gap, and it's the entire length of one of the walls. And the ants are likely coming up from between the floorboards. Or somewhere, at least.
Yeah. I do have that, and that is funny. Yeah, I need to get my Frost Islands leveled up. Not Frost Island, Frost map leveled up so I can level up that thing. Or you know, just switch up to a better one. The way my body looked after the fireball. I mean, I gotta get some panache in. Smoke bombs are effective at bringing him down from flying, but everyone has to be hidden. Oh, okay. Do I speak a little bit of French? I only know a couple of French phrases, and I'm probably using them very, very poorly.
Oof.
Ooh. Yeah. The one that the one that I normally use is C'est la vie, but yeah, that's it. Or I'll sometimes slip in like a couple of Spanish things that I've picked up. I really needed to learn the language, and yeah. I still probably can. I learned up to 100 in when I was like playing the Roman Bliss needs to be completely emptied. If it, yeah, I do completely empty it. I empty that clip. You don't gourmet voucher on me because I have a lot of them. Kind of wish you could check quests. And, oh my goodness. Alright, I'll drop this quest, check what he's trying to put up. No, that's not what I... Monster Hunter World of Animation. Okay, using the restroom. Alright. Available quest. No quest has been posted. You lied to me. How could you do that? Lie to me with a quest. I trusted you. Yeah, we got another person in. Do I know who they are? Off the top of my head, no. I'm trying to remember, Harukami. Oh. Shout out in the live chat, Harukami, because I am blanking on who you are. Brain empty. If not, I'm gonna kick you. I'm gonna laugh when his off gets kicked by the stupid AFK timer. If we get a fourth, this will work? Yeah, it'll work if we get a fourth. Has posted a quest. I'll at least check it out. Events. Harukami also has Fade to Black. Okay. This game is very, very, very stingy with how long you can be away from it. How long you can be AFK. Like I stepped away to get toast while doing some background farming for Latchery and other stuff. I came back and it's like, oh yeah, I only was away for a couple of minutes. Like, you have been disconnected from the session. Okay. So smoke bombs, you say? I think we can flash them twice. Go to, okay, since we don't have 4. Alright. Wait. Harakami is... Okay, that means nothing to me. Yeah, we can try with just the two of us. So, nope. I've played way too much Rise. Rise is just like, oh, hit the left, no, hit the right trigger to say you're ready. And it makes sense, because I played over 1,000 hours of it. I'll just have to remember again to boot up the... Alright. I do have a Ghillie Mantle. So... Whee! God, it's just such a good job. What? But you don't want... Nizop doesn't want to do the full 70... Actually, I think it's 100,000? It's up there. If you have 3 people, it gives you the 4 people multiplier. Oh, okay, fine. I have to transport all the way over here. Can't roll or shit, otherwise I'll lose the Ghillie Mantle. Unless I can roll. You down, never justified to me. The R3 F3 stick is a good button to use constantly. We weren't even on par for 2. No way, 3 would work. Yeah. Unless our third is the speedrunner. Human 3, are you secretly God? She's just hanging out in the air that entire time. I'm sorry for taking so long. Ah. Oh. So you double smack him to get that. Okay. For you. No, I think that's just canon. Rushing is just Elder Dragon level. Fly, you fool! Shit. Come on. How did that hit me? Jeez. Yeah, he does use the Karen horn. Oh. 1 and... Oh my goodness. Whoop, whoop. Oh, never mind, I won't roll through it. There we go. Hey, got a free meal. I hate that area. There we go. What? Outing? Yeah, I'm even confused now. I know I've said shit, but fuck you, Fratellis. Okay, if you're standing 1 foot shot plus him on all fours, when on all fours you get the wall thing. Okay. No, outing themselves as her... You mean Mizoth? No? No eyes. I guess outing as in revealing yourself as... Yeah. Oh, are you serious? No, come on. Get. Hell. Yeah, out as in to reveal. Alright. Fatalis, you fool, get out of that corner. Oh, that. Oh, wait, no. Oh, I am about to switch over to a weapon that doesn't have the ridiculous. Can I just? Like, I love axe mode, but no. Well, I'm here anyways. Whee! How'd I get 6 finals? Oh, magazine up. 6. I'm dead. I'm about to flash bomb this guy, see if it works. Hi. No rocks yet. Yeah, it's the same. It's not spelled that way. This is ridiculous. I'll have to look at the spelling for file. Okay, that hits his front legs. Got it. Oh, no.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Something with Cora and Seraph.
Hey, friend, that's your cat, right? That's Lulu.
Yeah, she runs just like the.
This situation is totally unacceptable.
This situation is totally unacceptable. This is such a real line. That's how people talk. This situation is totally unacceptable. I don't know why I went for Fred Durst for a second.
Speak properly.
We're dealing with.
No, you.
Yes, me.
How are they gonna resolve this?
I end up taking at least half my health and damage.
The kitchen.
It's almost a guarantee for
so they
me
can't
using
get
Clutch
the secret
Claw.
ingredients.
And it's really annoying, really pisses me off.
We'll think of some way to deal with it.
I just got an ad for a McDonald's cheeseburger, and the first comment I saw was "Nice try, McDiddy."
What are you
I
doing?
got an Instagram notification, and then I was just greeted by "Nice try, McDiddy." Every time I eat McDonald's, I instantly just poop in a painful way, and I don't know. It's awesome.
Why are you calling the cat? You're not.
Calm down, my friend.
Wire bugs are infinitely better because wire bugs also give you like additional movement options as well as additional attack options.
I'm gonna make you a secret
And
ingredient. There you go.
yeah, you can string them together with either recovery
Is
or
that Jerry from Tom and Jerry?
just like.
Wait, move it.
I love the texture.
It can either be a get the shit in there or get the hell out.
It looks like static, but it's the
Get in or get out.
It's horrible. It's like
Wire bugs
wire
are great that
weighted
way.
at regular countertop.
Yeah, they're on a cooldown timer, so you have to balance that out correctly. But they're so powerful when you use them.
I'm just enamored by the cinema on display. What's that blue light in this
Yeah.
scene?
That's his underglow.
Oh, we got ourselves a nodder.
That's it, my big friend. Grab these two and take them to your boss and see how proud he is.
Where do we grab these two and take them away? You have me to thank for it.
When I saw that big cat behind us, I almost fainted. What deal do you have with
I am very tempted to switch over to the light breaker axe.
See that? I want to see everybody die finally.
Would have made this whole thing worth it.
It switches animation style to like this hyper realistic.
Actually, if I use the light breaker charge blade, I can then set decorations,
Oh, look, the cat's here.
shield,
How did you fit in here?
He did it. Look at him.
fortitude evasion. I don't think I need
I
fortitude.
love the blurry tablecloth
So
texture.
I can instead.
Everything else is blurry. It fits in.
It's not even attempting to be the same.
Where is it?
resolution as the
Where
movie.
is it? Where is it?
Precisely.
Why? What was the point of that?
Okay, so really quick, we've made a couple movies about mice, and it's this and Ratatouille.
Yeah.
So quick tier list: Ratatouille, F for sure.
Ratatouille.
S tier.
C.
Oh, I think we'll settle on B.
I think it could have been longer so you know white.
Flinch free. There it is. God
You
damn.
said precisely about 17.
Race
I
vitality.
think one
Sure.
thing I would have done is
The problem with Clutch Claw is that they balance everything in Iceborne around it, without regard to those who don't find it enjoyable. Yes, that's part of the problem. To the point where you need to tenderize to be effective. See, okay. DK, you are putting together Clutch Claw and like you're putting Clutch Claw and Tenderize in the same boat. They are, via technicality, different boats. So, tenderizing, I am okay with. Clutch clawing is where I have the issue with, because you will get punished for using a clutch claw if you do not time it perfectly. And the game is very, very adamant about you being perfect with it. You will use the clutch claw at 2:43 p.m. on a Tuesday while the sky is cloudy. Oh, it's summer and there's no clouds around? Alright, that clutch claw is going to take out 3/4 of your health, and you're going to get stunned, poison blight somehow, and you're bleeding! Yeah. Yeah, I have guard up. I just really need to get into the I just need to get into my methodology. Not methodology. I am fine with the tenderizing mechanic if by using the clutch claw to tenderize the area. Actually, no, we already have a working tenderizing area. It's Lance. Lance's tenderization as a function of the clutch claw ability doesn't fuck you over every single time it happens. Yeah, you still take a little bit of damage, but it doesn't knock you off and decide that you and decide to take away your 401k. But I have two. Oh, okay. So my light breaker has guard up on it then. Set decorations, turn equipment. Okay. I mean, I could just do this, but I really don't want to lose my guard up. If I do that, so we're gonna drop that. We're gonna grab this, and we're gonna go to what can I level up more? Evade extension window. Okay. This. Do window. Okay, I already have 3 weakness exploit. Flight evasion? Do I already have fortify?
Hey everybody, Jack here. So it's been a month since I got
That's
recommended
like I
to check out
do.
a video by Milo
Oh,
Rossi,
that's not the right
aka
one.
Minuteman, the archaeologist on YouTube who has done a pretty freaking
There we
great
go.
job at debunking a lot of conspiracy theorists and different type of wacky statement that people who have little knowledge about archaeology tend to make. And for that reason,
You're
I
the
will
opposite
be
opinion.
recommending
Tenderize is a
some
mess.
stuff. Some of it
Tenderize
is
messes
super
with local
interesting.
combat. Wall
Unfortunately,
bangs
have
are
been
pretty
thrown
open.
away.
Yes,
Some
you
of
hate
them
tenderize,
directly
I love wall bangs.
instead
I
of
do agree, wall bangs are
recording
fun.
reaction to it, which
The
was
knock
Green Sahara video has always
combined
been one of those things
with the
that I was
15
super
seconds of
passionate about.
cowering on the ground, yeah, that does not help
Well,
collect fuzz.
you know,
Iron
it became a
wall,
bloody desert. So unfortunately, you are not going to get something that is straight up educational.
There it is.
What we're going to be doing
Yeah.
today, however, is kind of funny. As on the menu today, we have something a slight bit
Just
longer,
about the
which
extra.
is his debunking of a Philip Zaber, a guy who
Dirty
I
Jack.
gather
Okay,
to
so
encounter-
you're... Okay.
I want to say about last year, he was doing some weird things in either
Did I
the
eat?
Alps or something of
I
the
did,
sort,
okay.
talking about giants or whatever.
we got
Weird dude,
3.
but he has a massive following, and for that reason manages to spread a lot
Nizat,
of
where'd you
misinformation.
go?
And of course,
He gone.
that is the kind of things that I like to
We have
see
enough
being
people for a
taken
force
down. Just for
squad.
clarification here, I'm not talking about deplatforming an individual. I don't necessarily believe that that is the approach I like.
The
better
skills
to
names
actually
really
have
need to be
the
different for
thing
flinch
with
free and
future,
guard up.
but again,
I think that
when
flinch free and guard up should be the same.
it's kind of difficult to make soundbite versions of the
Also,
bunking.
where do I
So
go
we
to
end up having
switch
content that
the
is
invite
more
mode to
than
auto
one
invite?
about this. So without further ado,
Since I'm not
let's make sure
fighting
to
Fatalis right
subscribe
now.
to Minuteman,
Okay.
and let's get into this.
You will not believe
Aha, quick join settings.
creatures
There we
roam
go.
around, and he's brought to a shimmering rainbow city. All of this is in his diary.
Oh.
Only there are leaked photos that show us they're trying to cover up something big down there. Cultures all around the world just all independently come up with the same allegedly fictitious anthropomorphic bird, built by completely different cultures with zero contact time, thousands of kilometers
equipment.
apart. All dismissed as irrelevant or flat out ignored.
Swap
by
back
nature.
over to the Gilly Mantle for the opener.
I am already not ready for this. I am genuinely always flabbergasted by people who make conspiracy theories about especially pyramid. The type of structures that you get to see everywhere across the world. You could ask kids out there, why do you think that people decided to build
Nizaf should be able to join
The
in.
vast majority of them will answer you, sorry, which is something that I actually did. I'm a substitute teacher.
Just SOS it.
Because they do not topple. At least not easily.
Someone will join.
And that's like
Everyone's so powerful.
to simplify
Except
the
me.
process,
I'm a fool. I use charge blade and eat beans on the side.
aliens. Bro, the sigh when he walks in.
Alright. Cool. There's still slot there, so. Let me get you this.
Oh, don't you know it?
Yeah, that's pretty nice. When I woke up this morning, it was 8 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So I came to the studio, and I was like, that's a little cold even by my New England sensibilities. So I thought we could have a little fire in here to warm
Not the
myself
beans.
up.
Yes, that's the beans.
Emphasis on little.
I actually do have a space heater in here with me today, which doesn't matter considering the entire place is uninsulated and way too big for this space heater, bringing us to a balmy 28 degrees Fahrenheit. And with that, I'm ready to make a video. Anybody want some paraffin wax? Do a slight rearrange here. There we go. We don't need the candle to be directly in front of me. Wow, I have a great idea. While I work on scripting the Atlantis episode, why don't I just do a fun little easy one-off video? You know, I don't know, maybe about someone's TikTok account. You know, and just sort of break down all the videos that they've made. It'll be nice and easy, and certainly won't take me 2 months and 2 reshoots to finally complete. I have discussed a lot of conspiracy videos in my 3 years on TikTok.
Over there anyway, so
over the course of
steal
this,
this.
there's been a lot of repeat offenders, but through all this time, there has been one account that has reigned supreme. The uncontested king of bullshit.
I don't know if that was fast.
So much, it clogs my inbox every single time I open TikTok. For those of you that know who it is, I'm sorry. But today, we're going to be talking about Phil Spixel, a conspiracy TikTok account run by a fella by the name of Philip Zeba. Philip Zeba?
Okay. Two small crowns.
I'm pronouncing your name wrong. A few months ago, I found that I had been tagged in one of this guy's videos more than 300 times. And that's just one example. It seems like 75% of my tags are from this guy's content. And honestly, I'm kind of sick of it at this point. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be doing something I have never done before. I went through Philip's entire channel. It was, as you can imagine, an agonizing process, but I do it for you. And from all those videos, I have pulled all the major arguments that he makes. And in this video, I'm going to be going over every single one of them. Everything...
The one expression to rule them all. Pain.
Everything from Hollow Earth to pyramid power plants to destroying giant skeletons. Howdy friends, my name is Hollow Earth. And welcome to this exceptionally long video, which I can think of no more an appropriate name than Philip Zeba Debunked. Philip Zeba is a bit of a character. You know, as one creator looking at another, I recognize the fact that all of us are characters in a way. We are based very heavily off of who we are in real life, but of course we put on a bit of an exaggerated persona for the camera. We're going to be getting to know Philip's character very well today, but the trait we need to start with is a little something that we in the biz like to call yapping.
And I gotta be honest, there's a thing that I actually don't do very much the daily, besides, of course, whenever I have to interact in a school environment. I don't yap that much.
I can make 5,000 quickly. I know it's just a treasure.
Me, which is sticking to himself and being relatively quiet. Except, of course, for when my nerdy senses are tingling, then I'll start yapping too.
My man Philip can yap. Now, if you move the mouse, I'm sure you're saying to yourself, who the fuck is this guy?
Informational yapping, though.
Complaining about somebody else yapping. Yeah, you know what? That's fair. I'll admit it. Pot calling the kettle black a little bit. But the difference is that this is a YouTube video essay. It's supposed to be 2 hours long. What else are you supposed to play in the background while you're, you know, doing homework or something? Philip's sole medium is short-form content. Now, when you think of short-form content, what do you think of? 60 seconds, 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, maybe. Now, my man here can make videos that are upwards of 5 minutes long. Now, while I personally think 5 to 6 minutes is way too long for a short-form video, I have some respect for it, okay? He's got a lot to say, even if it is yapping. But that's where my problem comes in, because I make all of my shorts 60 seconds. And because Philip spends so much time yapping, he is able to say so much bullshit in 60 seconds.
Fatale's uninvited me party.
1 point in 60 seconds. So since I can't even begin to scratch the surface of his bullshit in a single short-form video, I decided to do this instead. Now, I've been planning to make this video for a long time. For those of you who subscribe to me on Patreon, you will have seen that this has been in my roadmap for like ever. In fact, I actually already filmed this video, the entire thing. It took me like 5 hours, and my structure was just I watched like 7 of his videos in a row and just talked about them.
No,
the problem is that
this Monster Hunter,
redundant, and I
this
have
Monster World,
world
I can't have fun.
So I
I'm
decided
allowed
to do
to.
another like 3 weeks to re-script the entire thing and shoot this. Oh, it's cold in here. What are you looking at? Oh,
See, that is why I don't like Clutch.
30-degree Fahrenheit line. Can you guys see this?
He wasn't even attacking, I just got hit.
Probably not. The
I don't even know.
What if I do this? Ready? This is going to be crazy. Or it's not going to work at all.
Oh shit.
So before we get into this unnecessarily long video, I want to welcome some of you. First, I would like to give a warm welcome.
Okay, I guess I'll hit his leg. That's not where I wanted to be.
Philip's content and have some sort of belief in it. If you
Slightly.
are,
Belief? No.
Have the Gilly mantle.
No. And the word skeptic should never be involved with regards to Philip. Like, I watched like perhaps like a handful.
I'm glad the
of his
cats are
videos,
getting along better.
but that's it. And I was
I'm not.
at every turn.
Cora
How
and
will I
Zara
get
are
it?
chasing each other.
Through this whole video. In this video, I'm going to be going over all of the points Philip
Like,
makes.
Cora's
All of my
actually, like,
sources
playing,
are going
not
to be
just
linked
being
on
aggressive.
screen, and you can find all of them in the description. So if you are truly someone who, you know, wants to do your own research, put your money where your mouth is and watch this video to educate yourself further. Or if you want to call me a sheep and click off the video, you can have at it, but you can see the fact that you care more about your feelings than you do about facts. Hit him with the Ben Shapiro. Secondly, I'd like to give a big welcome to pretty much everyone else. If you're new to the channel, welcome. You've probably seen some of my TikToks where I do debunking of conspiracy theories. Well, if you like those, you're in luck because I'm going to be doing it for like 2 hours here. If you clicked on it because you saw how long the video is and you're just playing it in the background while you do homework or something like that, welcome. I do the exact same thing. I actually kind of intended for this video to be a little bit for that. If you want to be generous, sauce me an interaction.
Yeah.
Tipping the bellhop. It helps.
The time limit for this monster is kind of BS, only being 30 minutes to get through 100k right now.
5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The last person that I want to welcome to this video
There we
is
go.
Ziba himself. Now, Philip, if you are actually watching this, I'm actually partly addressing this video to you. As I said in the beginning, we both have caricatures. I think I said character, but what I should have said is caricatures. We both have exaggerated versions of ourselves that we present on the internet. This is my character.
This isn't Rise, where you can sit down and make an element build for a monster, unless you're fighting Rizu Crimson Glow Valstrax, and then he just kind of says, I saw your element and thought it was funny. What would happen if I just went into my super mode and completely resist that?
And so while I am still going to be going for some
Be a little bit more generous.
video, I actually am trying to give you some advice, as weird as that sounds. No, I'm not going to lie. I don't really like your content. And as a matter of fact, I don't even really know if I like you. But as a man-to-man and a creator-to-a-creator, I respect you. Because regardless of the content you make, you are good at what you do. Even though I disagree with the information that you're putting out there, you have an obvious ability to connect with your audience. You have built a platform of 1.5 million followers on TikTok, and that's pretty impressive. Now, the only part of you that I've seen is your caricature. And so, unfortunately, I'm going to be judging you based off your caricature, which is a little
the
unfair.
element builds in Rise are nasty.
So that my thesis here isn't, you know, fuck you, get off the internet. I am
You know some code is fucking.
why I think the content you're making is something you should move away
When
from.
dual blades can do 200 damage a hit.
I also want to try and give you some, you know, advice and maybe some ideas for how to make your content better. Because even though the stuff you are communicating is a
Constructive
bunch of bullshit,
criticism.
you are a great communicator. So if you
Yes, he does have a pin. No, I don't want to get pinned.
I'm good to get this thing started. You hear that? That's the squirrels. Hey, keep it down up there, little fuckers. Oh, shit. They're climbing on the fucking rain gutter. Yo. Hey.
I was waiting for that to be a fireball. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, ah,
I
shit.
get the attic, I get the downstairs. That works. We have a no man's land. We have an understanding here. I mean, it's cold outside. Why should I get to be in the warm house and they can't? Throughout this video, I want us to all keep a question in mind, and that is, does Philip actually believe in the things that he is saying, or is he just saying them to get clicks? Because someone who actually believes in what they are saying is willing to sort of go the extra mile, do the extra legwork. And even if we don't agree with them, and I'm going to research all of my points to, you know, show whether or not there's backing up the things he says, they still believe in it and they are willing to back it up. Someone who does it just to get clicks is someone who doesn't really care what words are coming out of their mouth. And in my opinion, it's even a little bit worse because they probably don't believe the things they're saying, but they are willing to peddle it anyway to people
Using
who do believe
Kitakor Dragon Heart setup, fighting Crimson Glow.
Lastly, before we get into things,
No, you can do that. You got really good crit and raw for that stuff.
I do not have a personal problem with Philip.
Normal Crimson Glow, you can just. I'm stupid.
Start some fucking bullshit. I don't really care about who Philip is.
I'll come back with the Fireproof
Man
Man this time.
The things that he is saying. He's going to be coming out of the mouth
normal Crimson Glow, Valstrax. You can use almost any element weapon that you want on him. It's only when you start dealing with the stupid
Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen,
Risen.
Let's get this thing started.
They just go full element to resist. Like everything becomes 10. It's like, oh.
Get my mittens.
This is bullshit.
Advice number 1, never let him catch you without your mittens. Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Alright, so I think there's no better way to kick off.
Rajang? Yeah, the Rajang pin is horrifying.
By looking at whatever the fuck
oh
this
no.
is.
Bruh, what on earth?
I'm gonna die! And then he kills you.
I saw it last time I drank ayahuasca.
Apparently it's called the opium or the erosion bird. And don't worry, they're definitely AI generated.
That's bullshit, Philip. Those things are definitely real. The one that I saw told me exactly how and when I was gonna die.
But many are beginning to claim that creatures like this are actually real, and we've already encountered them in our past before.
So this video came out around the height of the erosion.
Mantles work better when you have
He isn't
equipment.
claiming that these things are real, because that would be ridiculous. But he's using it as a bit of a clickbait segue into whatever the next bullshit is he's gonna say.
Why did cultures all around the world just all independently come up with the same allegedly fictitious anthropomorphic bird?
The same allegedly fictitious anthropomorphic
None of them are the same.
Okay, we're grasping at straws right off the bat here. So Philip, I gotta ask you something real quick. If you look at all those birds that you got up on screen right now,
Furious Rajang?
like
Yeah.
the same bird to you? Is that Thoth at the top? Thoth? What the fuck is his name?
Thoth.
Okay, you got Thoth at the top.
Oh my god, I can attack while other people are attacking around me. What is this novel concept?
What the? Is that an angel?
Some sort of Mesopotamian god and then some South American god. Now, while they all have bird features, what you will notice is that they have about as many
Why did I get
different
knocked
features
down?
as is humanly possible. One of them has the head of a bird and no wings. One of them has the head of a human and wings, and one of them is dressed in a bird costume. You cannot tell me that that is enough evidence for you that all of our ancestors were connected to bird people. So this brings us to a very important theme through all of Philip's content that we need to talk about right off the bat.
Correlation?
And we even get to learn a new
Not
word.
even
So
correlation.
everyone repeat after me, hyperdiffusion.
Ah, that's a better word.
Hyperdiffusion is a
Land you
scientific
bitch.
concept that traces its roots back to the end of the 1800s and the beginning of the 1900s. And even if you're not familiar with the word, you are absolutely familiar with hyperdiffusion. If you've seen anyone peddle conspiracies about Atlantis or long-lost, globe-spanning civilizations of the Ice Age or even ancient aliens, these are all examples of hyperdiffusion. Generally, the concept dictates that all of the major civilizations on Earth are descended from one lost master civilization. You can see why this was such a popular concept in the late 1800s and the beginning of the 1900s. Now, while the people who peddle these concepts today are obviously not using them in the same way as, Ignatius Donnelly did in the, 1900s.
Oh, we all
How
know
many
that
healing items can I use?
Australopithecus was born in Africa, right? So we all
The answer might surprise you.
don't we? We all have a common civilization that got lost in time, but somehow managed to spread across. People are grasping at
Fly.
straws all the time to justify the most nonsensical things, and they will sprinkle a few scientific words here
No,
and
I do
there
not want
to
one.
make themselves sound smart. And unless, of course, you do understand the very verbiage that they make use of, you are likely going to get lost in the source. A very, very disgusting source.
Hyperdiffusion is something that has been used for a
No,
litany
Cora.
of terrible shit. Everything from eugenics to justifying Nazi land claims. Now, obviously, that's not what Philip is doing here, but it is important to understand the roots of this concept. Now, with the background out of the way, how does hyperdiffusion really work in the practice of these videos? Well, why don't I just show you, and I promise you'll get the hang of it really fucking quickly.
So this is a map of pyramids all around the world, all allegedly built independently of each other and all having identical...
Nizam, why'd you stop at the gate?
Famous pyramids of Djoser in Egypt, Chichen Itza, Pyramid de los...
I'm sorry, it's not the same pattern. Am I the only one who can look at the pictures that he's showing and being like, mate, what are you rambling about?
Teachers, Tikal Temple, the Great Pyramid of Cholula, Koker, and Prasat Daksay Chamkrong in Cambodia. And deep within the ocean is the sunken Yonaguni monument, all with a nearly
R.I.P.
identical
Yeah,
look,
we all
but
died.
completely
Every
different
single one of
cultures,
us.
zero contact among each other and thousands of kilometers apart.
Wow.
Oh, you were trying to
Everyone was
abandon.
classic. If people all over the world didn't have contact with each other, how did they know how to put the rocks going up? Just like the weird bird thing that we started out with.
You know
all these
what?
concepts are predicated on the idea that if A looks like B, then high-speed rail
Oh,
network.
no, not
Trust
that
me,
one.
we have a lot to cover about pyramids in this video,
Yes.
so I will get into that claim itself. But
I don't really need sturdy jerky, actually, if I'm being honest.
frequently, hyperdiffusion is used when talking about some of the most basic shit possible. When talking about the pyramids,
Energy
it's like, how did
spray,
they
boosts
realize
stamina,
to
and
stack
helps
them?
shake
How
off
did they
sleep.
realize things
No,
fell
where's
together
dash?
this way?
How did our ancient ancestors figure
Double
out
sense of
these
exhaustion,
completely
stamina
independent of each other?
What these people totally neglect to mention is there's only so many ways you can work with with stone. If you have thousands of civilizations across the world, of course some of them are going to come up with pretty similar ways of doing the same thing with the same materials trying to achieve the same end. Now, along with talking about physical constructions, hyperdiffusion also plays a lot into folklore. Now, a misconception that I think is peddled by these conspiracy theorists all the time is that archaeologists don't want to listen to folklore. In reality, folklore is one of the most important anthropological tools that we have, being anthropology, not archaeology, because you don't like dig for folklore. Almost all folklore is based on some modicum of truth, and there's no anthropologist in the world who would deny that. So these conspiracy theorists kind of take it to a different level, where instead of looking for
we got to the gate, but
you just decide to cut down
I used up all the other things.
It's like the creation story from the Bible, for example. You'll see similitude every single place across the world. From the Indians saying that the earth was born from a turtle's back, to the Babylonians whose gods are pretty much similar to that of Yahweh, with even better features. Like they all feature the whole.
Don't know why Dash Juice and energy drinks aren't right next to each other.
That's just how we operate. I guess for some people it's like mind-blowing to the point in which they kind of...
in all your years playing this game, you've never seen anyone make it to the gate from the cliff. I made it.
Ancient Indian mythology.
I was right there.
In the Old Testament, we got the Nephilim, the Quran.
Okay, this has health regen on it.
The Egyptians had their carvings and drawings of
Georgia says screw it.
Had their own depictions of towering humans. And the Sumerians, well, they had the Anunnaki.
We're going to have to talk about giants a lot later.
We'll keep trying with
it. Get into it now, but hyperdiffusion. The thing that these conspiracy theorists don't really recognize is that all of the sort of commonalities between all of these cultures are things that every person around the world had contact with. The idea of a giant person is not a thing to come up with. We all live around people, and the concept of anthropomorphic animals is fucking ancient, as long as we've been able to, fire enough synapses to combine two creatures together. We are a species that lives on the ground. For as long as we could look up, we've seen birds flying in the sky and thought, man, I wonder what's up with that. So
the fact that you can't redo a sign quest in this game
is because there are actual bird deities and not because we
poor
all
game
live on a planet
development.
with fucking birds, then you are out of it.
Zulu and Como Pueblo have legends of a race that existed there before them. These myths all speak of either a race of reptilians, yes, we're in lizard people territory now, or giants that civilized the area.
Uh-oh. What do you mean by that, Philip? That doesn't really give the right. I know you didn't mean it like that, but let's just... I'm an anthropologist, all right? My field pretty much got its birth from eugenics, so I'm trying to, right the wrongs of the past a little bit here.
Micmac, a Native American tribe that lived along the Atlantic coast, which shares a baffling number of similarities with Egyptian cultures.
Okay, Amatsu is weak to dragon and fire.
This one was just a coincidence, of course.
Bro.
And actually, if you really want to make an Amatsu like
here's this case.
trivialized,
and your name is Keita, and you're a Japanese man, and your name is also Keita.
well, there's three ways to absolutely trivialize Amatsu.
Images of like Keita, Tachibana, and
You can
standing next to me right now. Those are the musicians that I know having the name Keita, but like my.
Do I go with the cannon opening?
Hey. I am best friends with your cousin. I didn't expect that to happen. Somehow, this dude went to art school with one of my cousins who I've...
Are you using Astalos? No, Amatsu's immune to thunder.
For like 20 years. Phyllis, I don't know why you led me down a rabbit hole where I
not a good idea.
Everyone's trying to convince you of Atlantis or a lost globe-spanning civilization of the Ice Age.
Bow and heavy bowgun piercing the bow
every single one of those points.
evaporates the Amatsu.
Like
Another one is
whoa. You see that?
Freaking
what about the
if you use the counter build.
Pretty interesting, isn't it? Because it's the thing that gets them clicks and views. Okay, and I think is peddled by these conspiracy theorists.
Dual source. There we go. That's
right. Want to listen to folklore. In reality, folklore is one of the.
What was at the center? They couldn't understand that on the channel. Who was the
it's like the silkbound?
How difficult
or something like that. Anyways, you're trying and failing to fight raging Bessarius Sunrise. Really? Bessarius is giving you. Why the fuck can I not Sonic Bomb him? He's not Sonic Bombable. I don't know.
Deities is because there are actual bird deities and not because we all live on a planet with fucking birds, then you are out of it.
But if you want to do Bessarius pretty quickly, Gun Lance and Charge Blade trivialize Bessarius.
What do you mean?
Serious,
that
because
doesn't really give
the
you
files
real
will
detail.
just punch straight through his armor.
I'm an anthropologist.
Files don't care about your armor hit zones.
From eugenics, so I'm trying to, right the wrongs of the past a little bit here.
Micmac, a Native American tribe.
The Shikara dual blades? Shikara dual blades do pretty well. Yeah.
Similarities with Egyptian hieroglyphs, two cultures that allegedly had no contact among each other. This one was just a coincidence, of course.
Gonna dang. Alright.
Okay. Here's this case. If you're a Kenyan and your name is Keita, and you're a Japanese man and your name is also Keita, two different cultures living. I'm gonna have images of like Keita, Tachibana, and
if you want a really solid heavy bowgun, the Royal Order bowgun
having the name Keita, but like my
just
still stands.
can do all the element stuff that you need.
Philip, I'm going to give you my first piece of advice. You clearly have an interest in history. You clearly have an interest in antiquity and the mysteries of the past.
Damn it.
There are so many mysteries.
That was facing forward. Sorry.
Fucking reptilian bullshit. What about the Micmac language you just
Not
talked about?
facing,
That's
holding forward.
I'm sure a lot of your viewers probably haven't heard about the Micmac language, but because of the way you presented that
There we
video,
go.
now the only thing they know about is, well, maybe the ancient Egyptians had contact with the Micmac. Why did you make a video talking about the mysterious Micmac language? Why is it that the Micmac have a written language?
Let
and
me
so many
face your
others
head,
didn't?
damn it.
The US didn't. By trying to claim that there was some fictitious lost civilization, you make every little piece of the puzzle that we have at our disposal that's actually
someone else got him.
completely trivialized.
Just like the Fuente Magna Bowl found in Bolivia,
Oh.
Sumerian cuneiform script writing on it.
That's not true. All right, guys, we're doing an awful archaeology speed run. Hey,
Oh, that's
guys,
horseshit.
Awful Archaeology. Today we're going to be talking
That's
about
not bullshit. That's horseshit right there. That's dry and like clubbed together.
No record of the site, and we really
Oh,
don't know
I guess
what it
this
was
is-
discovered. For those
flip
of you
over
who have
to-
watched the channel for a while, you'll be familiar with the word context. It's probably the most important concept in archaeology. Most of the information you can get from any artifact is finding where it is located. It's context in the world. Finding a projectile point in a stream bed is very different than finding a projectile point in, a pile of bones. But
Yeah,
if you were to
embedded
take
in
both
the
of those
person's
projectile
body.
points, not record where they came from, and then just keep them in a box, they mean
You're
pretty
bad with
much
bow?
nothing.
Yeah.
So you could have
Okay.
literally the holy grail in your hand, and if you don't have any records of where it came from, what
Let
the
me
evidence
down!
about it was
Let me
like,
down!
pretty much is worthless. So since we have no record of where the Fuente Magna Bowl came from, that makes it a little suspicious. Since people claim that it is the sole artifact.
So with the Matsu, so it's the Silkbind Dodge, I believe is what it is.
Suspicious. Oh wait, not North America.
And you can just dodge literally straight through most of his attacks until he starts doing the attacks that affect ground. And then what you have to do there is find the Great Wire Bugs on the map and use those to basically jump over the attack.
Georgian, and even Hebrew. So long story
I don't know, it's a process.
agree on what the language on the bowl is.
And it's like all over the place when you're saying Phoenicians, dude.
Probably doesn't mean anything. In all likelihood, the Fuente Magna Bowl was either a completely fabricated artifact or an actual artifact that was later
What?
found in order to sell it for a higher profit. Thanks for watching Awful Archaeology. Stay curious and all that shit.
Records of inner Earth civilizations have been reported by many, if not almost every ancient society of our past.
Oh my god.
Okay, well that was the fastest of feint I got.
An idiotic thing
I
that a lot of
got
people
stuck in a
find
toenail or a small brick, one of the two.
Pliny, whom we've covered here on the channel, who was the very first to actually make somewhat of an encyclopedia, had difficulty grasping how our galaxy was operating, how our solar system was put together.
can I
That was at
build-
the center.
Because I am half
Couldn't
tempted to
understand
see.
that. He was the OG yapping influencer, but even he wasn't so delulu as to believe this.
Oh, I wonder why that is, Philip. Maybe because for as long as people have had their neurons firing, we wondered, I wonder what's below our feet. I'll give you 1 second to guess what he's going to do next.
Okay, so I have that.
If you guessed
But
But I think I can build the Elatrion Aquashot.
Underworlds
I do
and
have that.
You are absolutely right.
Buddhist Gartha.
Just
ancient
bring
Greek
heavy
Egyptian
bowgun
Pharaohs.
instead.
Mayans got Xibalba, Chico Mostok for the Aztecs. The
Can you
Sumerians
flash
for
bomb?
the
You can
Egyptians.
flash bomb a Matsu, I
Egyptian,
think
Greek,
twice,
Roman, and
but
even
only when he's
Celtic.
not
The
enraged.
what?
The
Even
Celtics,
Celtics.
Fucking
the Celt.
Celtics. I always knew the fucking Celtics were doing something down there. But I
Yeah, I'll
gotta-
switch
I
over
gotta
and
try to
just-
humble myself here for a second. I'm not normally the kind of person to make fun of someone mispronouncing something, but the fucking Celtics? You can't come onto the video of a guy from fucking Boston and not expect him to notice
from
when you call the
Boston here.
Celtics the fucking Celtics. You wanna go try that shit in fucking Southie, bud? Rule 95, the auto mile in fucking Norwood. Come on down there and try calling the Celtics the Celtics. I'll rock your fucking shit, bud. Shout out Massachusetts.
Even he couldn't stop himself from calling it the Celtics.
You'll always have my heart. He's wearing a NASA shirt, too. Actually, that's pretty hilarious. You know what, Philip? I'm going to give you a little point for that. I'll imaginary mark it on the wall. Hilarious that you're wearing a Celtics shirt. That would have been really good. If you wore a Celtics shirt, I would have thought that you actually intended to call them the Celtics. Wait, am I losing my shit? Is it actually pronounced Celtics, or is it Celtics? I always thought it was Celtics. Okay. Citation needed on that one. I'm looking at it, and it looks like it's Celtics, which is how I've always heard it. But if I'm wrong,
a research assistant and a fact check.
At least that bit was still pretty funny. No, I don't
Hello,
know
Rhea.
Celtics like the
Did somebody take safeguard? Okay, so we got
Yeah,
one person with safeguard. I still don't have a safeguard.
Celtics. Here in Ireland,
Wait.
except for the initial soft say in sports teams
This is actually
name,
a
Celtics,
viable weapon.
with a hard C or K is the standard.
Equipment
but that was
info,
not always the case.
light breaker,
Pronunciation
health
of
regen.
the
Okay.
sound
The Celts.
reflecting its nearest origin in French. Okay, well, looks like Milo is right again. Okay, I'm glad I was right about that. That would have been pretty embarrassing. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, perhaps, sauf si on est français, là on peut prononcer ça celtique. But it is Celtic.
I complain about not being mobile enough.
Maybe this
Grab
is the
lance.
underworld. The TD Garden is kind of like the underworld on Earth, so I mean, it would only make sense.
Just like the flood myth that appears in
Also it doesn't
ancient
stack. Okay,
civilizations.
so as long as we have one person doing it, then we're fine.
I'm so sick of that bullshit. The problem is that the entire concept of hyperdiffusion has one really big weakness. Whether someone's trying to convince you of Atlantis or a lost globe spanning
No,
civilization
bad.
or Ice Age, there is one single piece of evidence that can debunk every single one of those points. And that is because people like to bang. Come on now.
Are you playing Rise on PC or are you playing it on Switch or Xbox?
Climbed out of the primordial ooze. We have
Using
been
Tigrex armor, should you change it?
all over this planet.
Yeah, I would suggest changing your Tigrex armor. There's a lot of better armors that you can use.
Have a look at this map. This is a map of human migration
Like,
across the
okay,
world.
you're playing on Switch.
Yes,
Okay.
If you do believe that there was a lost standing civilization in
So
the
unfortunately, I
ocean,
can't just host a thing and help you because I'm on PC and Goliath is on Xbox. So none of us can help anyone because Nintendo decided not to make it cross-play compatible. This was not a Capcom thing, this was a Nintendo thing. We love Nintendo. I say so with the team.
Because genetically, he was very close to that group of people. Look at the globalization of the world today. We have people from all over the world who are able to, mix with one another. When our civilization collapses, and you can mark my words that it will, if there was some anthropologists thousands of years in the future, they would be able to tell us we had a globe-spanning civilization because of our genetics.
Yeah, basically, like if you're looking at anybody who is stemming from countries around the Silk Road, like our friends from Uzbekistan,
I'm getting the cannons.
No! From their skeletons and not have that very context that you just mentioned there, you would be hard pressed to define where the hell they came from.
The frustrating thing about archaeology is you're trying to assemble like a 1,000-piece puzzle with 3 pieces left, and that means that there's a lot of blank spaces.
Okay, well, we're fucked now.
Theories act like we have all
Can I
of
save it?
So instead of acknowledging that there's gaps between them,
Can I fucking get up?
Tepe and Gunung Padang and just like all this random shit, and they're like, yes, this is the full picture, even though we're constantly uncovering new shit and we'll never have the full picture. It's no
You can roll with cannonballs.
I
Forgot that.
Thank
Thank
you. Peddling this bullshit.
What armor should you take? So by the time that you're at a monster, you should be at least using, like,
Okay, now that we're all on the
primordial
same
armor.
fusion, let's go to the land down under, because we're gonna explore the ruins in Antarctica.
Not primordial. Melzano armor. Melzano is really good for this. You can also be bringing.
Okay, I want you guys to take 5 seconds to look at this image, and I'm going to see if you can guess what I'm going to talk about in this section. I'll be in the corner taking a piss.
Brain, blanking. Espinasse armor is really good against Matsu because you can build up your basically immunity to a single instance of damage.
There is absolute.
If you're going for more damage, there's a bunch of mixed sets that you can do with like
went and played Elden Ring and saw like that village with the Albinauric
Furious Regime,
covered in snow, like this could be
Flaming Espinasse, and Silver Rathalos. Get you a really good elemental set. You have to do some augmentation though.
This is the first time we're seeing Philip's
Linked
character
photos.
shine through a little bit. Philip's character is that of a do your own research as long as that research is the Joe Rogan experience kind of person. So he'll speak with this language that tries to trick you into thinking that what he's talking about is actually more plausible or more, uncertain than it actually is. Which is why he'll lace things into it like, a lot of controversy around these. There's no fucking controversy around them, Philip. You are literally just...
You're only two flaming gas masks? Okay, fine, not flaming gas masks then. Because that armor is really good just as a single set, even if you don't use it for mixing. Another armor set that I used and had a lot of fun with using was the standard Shigeru Magala armor.
They've been doing for years. Honestly, maybe Philip is a government psyop, because the more breath he wastes talking about how the government is covering up giants, the more the government can continue to...
Not to be confused with the Risen Shigeru, but just normal Shigeru makes a really good crit element set. But you do have to deal with bloodlust if you're taking Shigeru.
Knowledge at your fingertips. Don't try and make people feel stupid for doing more research than you. But you know what, Philip? Just because you wanted to be a little bit of an extra smug bastard about this one, I decided to go down a little bit more of a rabbit hole just for you. So here's how I started. I googled photos of ruins in Antarctica.
Well, yeah.
I got this list of images, none of which are...
I like the risk-reward mechanic on him.
Suddenly some big controversial thing, the images would be pretty much everywhere, right? But whatever, doesn't matter. I'll just take your word for it. And the photos were exactly what you would expect. We had this mountain that looks like a pyramid that we're definitely not going to have to talk about in just a couple minutes, Philip. Oh my god, why would you make me do that? As well as some photos of shipwrecks and snowbanks and shit like that. But as I scrolled down, I found this image, which isn't one of the ones that you used, but...
Fucking face.
Don't knock it. The only thing that Shigeru Magala armor is actually missing, really, is the blood right.
Well, perhaps the vast majority of people can't be bothered.
That's it.
You can take a screenshot of
For
something
health
and
recovery.
reverse search.
Hey, for once I wasn't the first to die. I'm also not doing enough damage to do it.
That's one of the great things nowadays.
But for once I wasn't the first to die.
Sometimes even when they look extremely realistic from the real thing.
But looks very similar. Now, as if looking at it isn't enough to tell you, it says directly underneath...
If you want another just solid... Well, actually, no, we already got the SNS one. Teostra has good armor.
Referencing a bunch of these images being used on a YouTube channel. The Scott Lewis YouTube channel, which honestly, Philip, I'm sure you'd love him. He looks like he talks about the same bullshit talking points that you do. But they still weren't the same images you were using, so I decided to go back to the drawing board. And so I went back to my Google debunking, and first I found this hilarious April Fool's article from the Society for American Archaeology from the 1990s, talking about ruins being discovered in Antarctica and featuring a geologist called Scott Amundsen. For any of you that are familiar with polar history, you will recognize both of those names immediately, because they were the two explorers that raced to get to the South Pole first, as well as an archaeologist named H.P. Lovelock, a hilarious twist on H.P. Lovecraft and Lovelock Cave, which is also something we're not going to have to talk about in this video, right, Philip? I found this Reuters article.
Honeycorn or longsword?
Antarctic allegedly created by artificial intelligence.
If you do use longsword,
secret lost photos from Admiral Byrd's expedition by someone called...
you're going to have to get your counters down. Not the switch counters. In fact, I rarely use switch counters.
In the essence of doing research and look through the entire article. Now again, it has
He could have skipped it. There are ways to bypass that.
a lot of images, but not the ones that you use.
Dual Blades has really good maneuverability, but only if you give yourself like a very big extent of 2.
Is someone who uses AI to illustrate their, fictitious novels that they write. Nowhere are they trying to convince you that these images are real. They are merely using them as a catalyst to tell their story. So after looking through the catalog of books, I found one called Mysterious Antarctica, claiming to have more than 100 images from probably the same set. And so for the low price of about $3 USD, I bought the thing. So I scrolled through the entire book, but none of the images are the same. But something very unusual is happening, because even though it's none of the same images, the images look really
then dual swords you should be fine with.
similar, as if they came out of the same computer-generated mind. So feeling like I hit a dead end, I went back to Lost Book's webpage. I found their email, and I wrote to them. I said, hey, I'm working on a YouTube video. I came across your book, and I need your help identifying
and he gave them the real thing.
I guess I live here then.
With this project. Also, I am best friends with your cousin. I didn't expect that to happen.
I thought I had that blocked.
With one of my cousins who I've never met, and they've been best friends for like 20 years. Philip, I don't know why you led me down a rabbit hole where I I connected with like a fourth cousin that I've never met in my life. This cousin that I apparently had then also reached out to me, and I learned that he lives near a really big flea market that I like, and now I'm gonna meet him. I don't know how this happened.
Thank you,
I
Philip.
came here to learn about fucking AI images, and you just gave me
Chicago Teostra 1.
So anyway, cousin.
So Teostra just gives you really good crit off the bat.
From conspiracy to family tree.
So you don't have to like build for any crit boost.
Holy shit, what the fuck? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to
Meanwhile,
mastermind behind Lost Books himself.
Shigar Magala has the bonus of has the stupid bloodlust bonuses. So it gives you bonuses and crit if you successfully get your bonuses off.
Art way before AI art started, so that's not my only art thing. But I've been using AI
But that's only if.
images that are hyper realistic, that are kind of a combination of fact and fiction, and I did my own set that one.
Yeah, you can pretty much tell from his atelier that he's an artist.
Called Mysterious Antarctica that purported to show Admiral Byrd exploring Antarctica in the 1940s, 1950s as part of an operation. So I made a bunch of fake images that went viral. They're very similar to the ones that I made, and I used prompts like historical photos or grainy black and white images. I think with like the AI compression stuff that you see, like the weird artifacts, kind of like the fuzzy edges and stuff, you have an old-fashioned looking picture. It makes your brain sort of accept that there are flaws in this image that otherwise, if it was modern, you might not accept them. When I first saw those images, I was like, well, this is a language that I speak. Like I've been making images in this style, even of this subject, for a while. So when I see them, I immediately recognize sort of stylistic elements, the way that some of the color is done, the way that sort of
max up Tiger X. Trying to remember what Tiger X gives actually.
The images carefully, you think about the mass of the objects. A lot of times, that's when things start to fall apart. Yeah, when you send me those images, it's like, I know this. I've been doing this for a while. I think they were
good wall bang.
Fusion.
What?
Probably. They might have been Mid-Journey, but I've seen things now that lead me to believe this they would be.
The Wi-Fi is weak, put up and running. Good.
They take them out of their original context and they just re-upload it and put their own spin on it, and then it goes around the world again and again and again. So I started with the images that you sent me from, I think, a TikTok video, and I put a few of those into a reverse image search in Google, and that gave me a clean version. And from there, I started tracking and building a timeline of like, okay, when was this first
Get up.
posted?
Put that one away.
And the original source, it seems, is an artist on Edgar Reyes. I can probably pronounce his name right, but
That's
it's
what I wanted.
in a video on his
There we go.
channel and a video on another channel that is kind of a long interview about how he did it and why he did it. He considers himself an artist too, and he makes a lot of the same points that I've been talking about already about.
Look what happens when I stop bringing a weapon that I like.
Later on, they
That I
get
like using, and instead just bring a weapon that I want, that I'm good with. English.
.org to make it look like it's a historical document. Suddenly, there starts to be a bunch of Russian websites that picked up those images. There's one that is like a sort of a Russian version.
4chan. Yeah.
This seems to be one of the big places where they started to propagate.
And then you get all the bots who get to spread it like wildfire.
There it goes to a number of other Russian websites that, in my digging, I found were publicly linked to disinformation networks and propaganda networks that are known to be Russian.
No!
In my opinion, that's the opinion of multiple independent outlets that I looked at that covered that site where it got reposted to, and those images got, at that point, recontextualized by whoever wrote that article in Russian.
Now we're going to connect it to the Tsar.
Seriously?
And new ideas that are not at all contained in the original video. The original video is just images and music. And then from there, it appears that it got translated into at least 3 other languages: Czech, Slovak, Lithuanian. Oftentimes in this kind of investigation, you never really know what the ground truth is. But I think in this case, it seems pretty conclusive that they were made by an artist using AI. And then after that, they get picked up and repurposed by other actors, especially also on sites like Rumble and Odyssey.
Heal my weapon.
And you see there's a lot of copies of it on YouTube too now from different accounts. But it's like, after it leaves the original creator's account, it just gets like reposted and reposted and reposted endlessly. Yeah, I mean, it sucks, and if it was my images being used,
Oh, did you get the pin on me?
And I would try to take action. What I would probably do is I would file
no, didn't get the pin. Okay.
Claims against people using the images.
No.
But more importantly, in a way that's derogatory or extremely offensive.
Thank you for coming on.
Guy too.
It was a pleasure having you. I appreciate you sharing your expertise with us. I had a much longer.
He might be a DM artist, but he was doing this for
Oh, what the heck killed
to
me?
try to spread some misinformation or do anything malicious.
Tech Armor's max earplug speedy, peak performance,
Wonderful conversation, and I asked him also
mind's eye, okay.
The art world is going, and I put the entire interview on my second channel. So if you want to watch that,
Same, I could see.
He is a wonderful mind, and I think you should definitely listen to what he has to say. And if you're interested, I recommend you support the man himself and check out his book.
Yeah, bring literally anything else.
You could spend $3 on a fun little
Not literally anything else. Like, you could do worse. Speeding is pretty nice. Earplugs is pretty good. But a lot of the time when you're facing like an end game, you're just going to be, especially if you're using dual swords, you're just going to still use the silk line to just dash through it.
Throw it up on TikTok and then regurgitate some bullshit. So kindly, Philip, to your claim that Google will tell them that this is fake. I know that you're trying to discourage your fans and viewers from doing their own research, but if it makes you feel any better, I don't think that it's AI because Google told me. I think it's AI because someone told me who does it for a living.
A lot of people argue these ancient ruins aren't real, and
oh wow, I still have all my stuff.
Philip, there is a difference between keeping an open mind and just believing any bullshit that comes across the screen. I appreciate that. You should keep an open mind. There's even some things in this video that you presented I'm like, huh, that's kind of interesting. But you can't claim like you're encouraging people to keep an open mind when you spent the first half of the video talking about don't Google it, you say that it's wrong like a bunch of fucking nerds. Maybe you should have Googled it, and then you wouldn't have had to make a video where you just said bullshit for 5 minutes. Okay, I've given you guys sort of the appetizer. You have a little bit of an understanding of who Philip is. So with this in mind,
what gear am I using? I am currently using a set that somebody set up for me. I'm trying to remember who.
Doubters will tell you these photos are fake because Google told them.
But Rangard, Escadora, Golden. So that gets me up to attack 7, agitator 5, divine blessing, evade, window, health boost, weakness, exploit, heavy artillery, evade, extender. The resentment capacity boost, free meal, and flinch free.
But I absolutely play to certain parts of my personality because that's the character that I am in front of the camera. And I think Philip is doing the exact same thing here. So all of that is to say that this is not me ragging on Philip as a person because I don't know.
And if I use the ghillie mantle properly,
he's putting forward online. And frankly, I think this part he's putting forward online is kind
I could actually use the bomb, but no, I had to equip the ghillie mantle before,
Giant bones found all over
doing the thing.
It's fake. Didn't you read that fact check article, bro?
There's something so poetic about watching someone who I feel like
I don't know. The joke is I'm probably going to get enough broken parts to like start building the Fatalis armor before anything else.
Don't listen to the science about climate change.
Ted Cruz, who left his own states, who got on a vacation with his children, wasn't it? Left them freezing in the cold, wherein they had to rely on the opposite party, the Liberals, to help them get hit. Great job there, Senator.
It's like that. If someone tells you something and then makes fun of everyone who would try and do their own research, wrong, chances are...
No, I don't think I have the Raging Brachydios helmet yet. But I have both, almost a full set of Alpha Brachydios and Beta Brachydios for max artillery. Frostfang for Slugger Secret and max crit eye. Yeah.
They used those images. This poor lady has suffered enough. Freaking grifters and
actually on
making use of her
one of my other sets I had set up,
to justify
which is kind of more of a Pixie Giggle set, but it also worked really well. It was 3 parts Elatrion, 1 part Frostfang. One part.
Hey, yo, I gotta go. I've said too much.
He also does that bullshit. Hey, yo, I gotta go. I've said too much. Philip, nobody gives a fuck. You're not gonna get fucking assassinated.
Kind of funny thinking that Vitalis is the main character and his eye of the tiger is playing when he kills you. Yeah, it is funny.
honestly, I don't want to silence Philip, because the longer he does this, it's fucking job security. The nice thing about what I do for a living is that as long as there is stupid people, I can pay my fucking mortgage. So please, Philip, if there actually is a sniper trained on you right now, let me know, and I will do everything I can.
I know. I just keep forgetting.
All dismissed as irrelevant or
Nizoth, you expect me to be intelligent? I am a streamer, man.
As you won't be surprised, he uses a lot of...
You know what we need? We need a collaboration. We need a collaboration between Rainbow, the geoguesser guy, and Milo. It would be wild. Milo shows him an image. In 0.5 seconds, so it's located this place here in North America, and Milo then goes ham on the analysis on it.
Oh, I should get the Elytrium Lance, actually. If I'm going to be using Lance against him. But then I lose Brace.
Pseudo-science out there.
Language like this. Mainstream archaeology. We are fed the narrative. You can tell that this is a guy who, you know, watched Ancient Apocalypse once and then probably watched Graham Hancock on Joe Rogan, and that's the research that he's done into archaeology. And so because he's gaining his archaeological input from two people who do a terrible job of representing archaeology, he thinks he knows what archaeology stands for, which is absolute bullshit. And I want to make clear that I'm a firm believer that you don't even need a degree in archaeology to call yourself an archaeologist. It's high time that academia moved past needing to spend thousands of dollars to get a piece of paper to say that you like something. But the difference between studying archaeology your whole life and calling yourself an archaeologist even though you don't have a degree, and what these people are doing, is that these people are speaking like they are an authority figure in archaeology, like they know better than archaeologists. Now, I actually do have some pretty immense respect for Graham Hancock. Even though I fully disagree with the things that he's saying, I do appreciate the fact that he can actually try and postulate his theories and, you know, actually try and back them up with evidence. I don't think his evidence is very good, but at least he's engaging in the scientific method. At least he's trying to play the game, you know? No, Philip here is not doing any of the extra work. He's not really adding anything to the conversation. He's just sort of boiling down all the talking points and then reciting them in 6 minutes.
And the thing that we've talked about before, even in the past videos, that obviously
I have no idea what happened there.
The problem has always been the distrust for the authorities, right?
Thought I had stamina for that thing. I do have guard up on this, right?
Example, I have some strawberries on my desk right now that I will be munching on towards this video. I do apologize if I occasionally eat something.
Want some help with any farming-wise? Can't guarantee that you won't disconnect, but can help if you want.
They will tell you that some of these are ecological. What we have found in recent months with a lot of ground analysis is that
I'm pretty good with
actually not making
like
them in an ecological
just
way.
fucking around on Vitalis for a little bit.
Or any pesticide whatsoever. And because they've been able to bypass certain things.
I didn't really have any plans because I knew Vitalis was going to take at least this entire stream. Minimum.
Ecological. And that is of course wrong. That is within reason of me having a distrust for the people who are selling the stuff to me. But get this, in our garden we are actually cultivating our own strawberries. I even had my daughter the other day when we went visiting my mom, where they had wild strawberries when we started gathering them. Now imagine a person who hears about a story that I just told you about the government kind of having some wishy-washy rules that are able to be bypassed. And then
thank you for offering.
Every single strawberries out there are not ecological. Like that's clearly nonsensical. Like you can have doubts.
Yeah, that was.
You can even
that would just be like
I don't want to trust authority.
I know you can kind of control where you drop when you're dangling, but that is like I was trying to drop down while I was next to him.
I'm going to assume you have a business degree. You can be a business archaeologist if you want, but don't talk about what mainstream archaeology wants you to think.
To which modern Egyptologists claim these to pull jars. They're just desperate.
Insults.
And now we put it all together. Here's Philip being both smug and wrong. The people who actually study ancient Egypt for a living say it's this. They're just getting desperate at this point.
Which was later dismissed as an ancient sloth? Like, come on, they're just making shit up at this point.
So, archaeology nor biology are my fields of expertise.
So you should be
but
flying off?
I have for some
No.
years now followed content creators who do an exceeding good job by either giving you material that you can read and or listen to that are going to tell you some of the wildest things that you could not fathom about either the human body or bones that we found out there. Erica,
Alright.
who has the cutscene
See you, Noah.
channel.
Thanks for
is
stopping by.
one who I recommend that you check out. Who very much will go talking about this type of things because she often gets in confrontation with creationists who are trying to disprove evolution and stuff like that. And she goes down to business, breaking down the bone structure and everything, the anatomy of all the findings out there, especially when it comes to primate, because she has a master in primate studies. So while at first glance I would grant to a person who has barely visited a museum before would be shocked by an image like this.
Rocksteady up?
Oh, a sloth. How
Yeah,
could
might as well
that be?
Rocksteady up.
Yes, the ground sloth, Megatherium, did exist. These are real things.
You're gonna let Primordial smack down. Oh
Just
no.
making shit up. Philip, you could make your caricature anything you want. Why'd you have to make your caricature a dumbass? Like, really, I don't know what other terms to put it in. Philip, you don't look like you're some mega intelligent critical thinker by looking at a giant sloth skeleton and saying that they're making it up. You kind of just end up looking like a goober.
But apparently, that was just the tip. And if you know me, I do not like just the tip.
You know what, Philip? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that I don't think that's true either. Because as one cis-het man to another, you look abrasively straight.
Pyramids. Don't y'all get a little half chub when I talk about them? Cause I sure do.
No, Philip, I don't get a little half chub. I'm fully fucking erect. See, this is how you can tell this guy doesn't have a degree in archaeology. He only gets a half chub when you talk about pyramids. Me, I gotta go change.
Civilizations who exist on Earth, then this will change your mind and blow it at the same time.
Bro, what are you doing? Do you imagine the amount of phallic joke that you can make every single time that you see an obelisk? And they are like everywhere. Okay.
So Philip puts a lot of like weird sexual innuendos in his videos. I don't really know why this is. I have some respect for it because like it engages with the audience, which is cool, I guess. But
yeah.
I mean, do you really want a video of yourself online saying something about getting a half chub with a pyramid? I guess I actually did just say something a lot worse. Who the fuck am I kidding? It's not
Changing
like I'm
pants.
this job anyway.
I'm gonna give it to you raw. 10 undisputable facts that absolutely double penetrate pyramid deniers.
I lose guard up somehow?
Evaluation of Philip's
No, I have guard up.
The first time that sentence has ever been spoken, you got that going for you.
I stacked 10 unbelievably raw facts about the pyramids in the previous video, which were all true, but of course the Google debunkers desperately tried to prove them wrong.
You guys catch that? Unbelievably raw facts that the Google debunkers desperately tried to prove wrong. We're bringing it all together now. We got smugness. We got generalization. We got sexual innuendos. And the last thing we got is the most
Yes, because I want to be on the opposite side of the fucking monster. Nope, come on.
If there is one straw man that Philip loves to talk about, it's the Google debunkers.
The people who can easily refute.
Like I might be the Google debunker, because even though I haven't done a lot of short forms talking about Philip's content, I sort of am the leading debunker, as far as I know, on social media. And so chances are Philip's probably pretty familiar with me. I know it's a team effort, you know, we got some other ones. We got Aslan Fahari out there who's making some amazing debunking content.
Oh, my friend.
But he's a bit more anthropology focused. Me, my job is being a bastard. And whether or not I was a Google debunker before this video, I'm definitely
The Ryan has spoken.
The Google debunkers will tell you, oh, it's a natural mountain formation formed through erosion.
Google debunkers. It's a natural mountain formation caused through erosion. Well, that's a really good point. What if I said it in a really stupid voice? It's a natural mountain formation formed through erosion. Oh my god, it's actually wrong now.
So all the Google debunkers are quick to downplay any new evidence that comes up.
Google debunkers.
Aside of the pyramids, the Google debunkers don't want you to know about
The
it.
Google debunkers. The Google debunkers don't want you to know about this. The Google debunkers are trying to cover it up.
That sounds like a fun name for a song. Google debunkers.
Yee. Ouch.
By the chorus of a song.
Alright, you got safeguard?
To that drum, a nice riff to drum guitar.
You.
Google debunkers.
Can I make a light breaker weapon? Even if I can make a light breaker weapon, do I have the stuff to put health on my no, I'm missing one. I can probably build that.
The old ball and chain. The goddamn woman drives me fucking Google debunkers. It's cold in here. Jesus Christ. Oh my god, it has increased 4 degrees. That space heater is doing its best. You know what I need? I need a little pick-me-up, because now we're going to be talking about ancient Antarctica on maps.
Oh, fudge.
Can we get the Elatrion one?
Cold in here. Woo! All right. 1
shouldn't have
PM
zoomed in for
somewhere.
this.
And that somewhere is right
Nostra,
here.
you're
The issue is that he's using
Electrium.
They are famously known for never overheating.
Oh my
so
hell,
you
come
need to
on.
use a PC.
Ooh, that's good. When Philip did his watch through of Ancient Apocalypse, he learned something really interesting. And that is that there are ancient maps that depict Antarctica.
Well, that complicates
and Philip
things.
was stoked about this.
Oh,
And so
no.
He made it all of our problem.
But even ancient maps painted Antarctica as green.
Philip, fucking God.
What?
Is that your evidence? I'm going to assume that you're using this as evidence for Antarctica being green because it's what you're showing while you're talking about it. How do I put this? What the fuck, dude? Okay, I need to see it on here. Believe it or not, the images that show up aren't actually on the screen. Look, Gianfranco, you can put any image up there right now and I won't know what it is. Wow, this, I have
The
very
thing is, I want mobility.
about this image.
But even ancient maps painted Antarctica as green.
Oh my God, you are fucking dense. Okay,
Primal
no,
invasion,
that
Brace,
does
guard,
not mean that Antarctica was green, Philip. That is not at all what that means.
That's
Let me
just
make this
a-
full
You two
screen.
go ahead. Oh no.
Okay, why don't we extrapolate your logic here a little bit, Philip? So if we're looking at this map, which is from one of the
Antarctica
earliest
was
full
yellow.
atlases of the world, you can see that part of Africa is green.
Hold on. I'm gonna pick up the Geologica in a moment. So it's this book here. I was trying to find out if there were maps here that actually were depicting it in a different color but what. But unfortunately, I cannot make that point. I don't have my older books here. They are somewhere else in the home. I won't bother to look for them for you here, Philip, but I have all the maps that see them looking grey and stuff like that.
I was forgetting something.
Of the world, you can see that part of Africa is green, part of Russia is green, part of
The Sahara Desert is green.
Near East is red. Philip, you see where I'm going with this, right? This doesn't make any fucking sense.
If I'm doing
You know,
charge
when
plate,
they
I might
color
as well.
in, like states on a map.
Actually, no, artillery does this
in
more,
order
but
to, you know, depict what they actually look
Electron,
like.
100
Color them in so
sharpness,
they can
this is
differentiate them
better.
between each other.
Gloss.
They use 3 colors to do this. It looks like they used yellow, green, and red. If the Antarctica was red, would you still be using this fucking map? I don't even know how to debunk this. It just
In Antarctica, the penguins are living inside red mud houses. For fuck's sake, man.
that's just kind of dumb, dude.
Twice the size of Australia, and was thought to be ice-free as recently as 6,000 years ago.
It was most definitely not thought to be ice-free as recently as 6,000 years ago. I don't know who would ever make that claim. Do you have any idea how much the sea level would have been up 6,000 years ago if Antarctica was ice-free? What the fuck is this about? So we do ice core drilling in Antarctica. You can find little gaseous bubbles trapped in the ice, which can tell us all kinds of horrifying things about our planet. Those ice cores have ice that can go back as far as 2.5 million years. Philip, where the fuck are you getting this number that there was no ice on Antarctica 6,000 years ago?
That's a creationist talking point.
How does that even make sense? 6,000 years ago was like the tail end of the last glacial maximum. Well, 10,000 years ago. It was like 20 to 10 that ended. But still, 6,000 years ago, the Earth was colder than it is now. Why would it have had no ice on it, and how would it have been completely covered in ice since then?
Because you need a justification to how it is that the penguins managed to make their way
Adios.
to the Ark.
What?
This map from 1513 by sailor Peary Reyes shows a perfectly accurate coastline of Antarctica.
Philip.
How goes your game, Silver?
I get that you watched Ancient Apocalypse
goes.
once, but the least you could have done
It
is at
goes,
least do some
yay.
debunking. Maybe if you Googled something, you wouldn't be making videos that are dumb. That's not the coastline of Antarctica. That is the coastline of South America. It hooks in a weird way because someone was sailing around the continent with a fucking pencil and a piece of paper trying to draw it. They didn't have the luxury of the satellites that we have today that prove that Antarctica is not connected to South America. But Milo, how do you know? It might have been that way for some fucking reason. If you actually read the Peary Reis map, it says on the part that should be Antarctica, the place with all the snakes. Now, I'll let you guess which one that sounds more like, Antarctica or, you know, the very hot, humid forests of South America. Ridiculous. I do think it's very funny, though, watching the do your own research crowd clearly have one source for all of their information and then just, you know, parroting it over and over again and clearly not doing any more digging into any particular topic.
This map connects South America to Antarctica, which it could very well be that over 10,000 years ago, these two continents were connected by a sheet of ice.
Okay, well, two things to note here. First and foremost, that is footage from Ancient Apocalypse. I think I rest my case. And secondly, what the fuck, Philip? I thought you said 6,000 years ago was ice-free.
Thought to be ice-free free as recently as 6,000 years ago.
So 10,000 years ago, the ocean, the salt water between the tip of, Antarctica and Terra del Fuego had completely frozen, but 6,000 years ago, it had all melted away.
Hey, remember, global warming isn't a thing, okay? Doesn't happen.
I'm gonna bludgeon myself over the head with this bottle so I can be thinking on the same level as you. What the fuck is this about? I think it's kind of interesting how these people talk about ice. Ice has a really hard time of traveling across water, but it has a really easy time of traveling across land. The reason that the ice sheets got so far in North America is because, they kind of came into northern Canada and then they could just traverse all that land coming down. But they have a lot harder time in water because they float and break and, break off and the water is salt water, so it doesn't freeze quite as well. So the Earth would have to be really fucking cold in order for an ice bridge to form over the sea and make it to the bottom of Terra del Fuego. You would need a really cold fucking planet to do that. And if you want to tell me that the planet went from being cold enough to have a ice bridge between Latin America and Antarctica 10,000 years ago to having no ice on the continent
Oh, son of a
6,000 years ago, and now there's ice there again? Philip, you gotta get your fucking story straight, bro. This doesn't even make sense.
Sponsorship.
Post-editing Milo here. I want to quickly add something about the glaciers that I forgot to mention in that part. The way that a glacier forms is not by just like rivers freezing and ice magically appearing. A glacier forms from layers upon layers of snowfall. So during an ice age, it's a lot colder, so a lot of the precipitation is snow instead of rain. And so as the snow piles up layer after layer, it eventually creates an immense amount of weight. And under all that weight, the snow is compressed into ice. This is why it'd be really hard for an ice sheet to connect Antarctica to Latin America, because the snowfall is ending up in the ocean, whereas in North America, the snowfall was landing on land, allowing the layers to accumulate and the glaciers to proceed much farther. Anyway, I just needed to come in to add that because I kept watching this video on the editing table, and every time I came to this part, I'm like, if I don't mention the part about the snowfall, it's not going to make sense. Anyway, okay, that's all I have to say. It's a beautiful day. Going for a walk. Bye.
Also, when people talk about sea level rise from climate change, the place that all that water is coming from is Antarctica. In the northern hemisphere, all of the ice is more or less seasonal, like ocean.
I'll call that strategic placement, even though it's not correct.
All that ice is pretty much in water, and therefore the sea level is as high as it would be whether it was liquid or solid. But on the South Pole, because it's all on an actual
doesn't contribute too much.
All of that ice does not contribute to the height of the oceans. So if all the ice on Antarctica were to melt, the ocean level would rise a bunch. So this theory is predicated on the fact that pretty much 6,000 years ago, there were no ice caps. We would absolutely know if the sea level was like 300 feet higher than it is now. How much would that even be? How high would sea levels rise if there was no ice? 230 feet, Philip. Where the fuck is the evidence for that?
And we're supposed to believe ancient humans managed to find their way around every single continent in the world, even discovering the microscopic islands of the Pacific Ocean. And
oh, come on, dude. Dude, somewhere out there are some Vikings rolling in their grave with the silverware and combs who did not have dreadlocks. It's a weird fact that I have to state out here. Like, we have historians who have to debunk the things and bullshit that Viking is spewing about Vikings out there. And I'm like, that's not my fight. As soon as I raise my voice about that kind of things, people are gonna be like, but that's not your culture. Bro, I've been living here for years. I've been going to museum and watching people in exhibitions going like, what the fuck are they displaying about our culture in Hollywood? But like, the point that I actually wanted to make, we have the likes of Leif Erikson and a bunch of others from Iceland and from Denmark, from Norway, who would travel around for trade and for discovering a new land, ending over to America, discovering new things.
I just shocked
and
that.
you're surprised that people would travel across the globe?
Somehow they just fully skipped
Yeah, I'm gonna be
even when it was a luscious green paradise.
Can you mount Fatales? You can. It's rare.
Like, that's kind of crazy. But you didn't even find Antarctica? God, ancient people were losers. You know what, Philip? That's a good point. I'll agree with that. But let's do a little critical thinking here. Humans were able to find the tiny Polynesian islands, which is a shot in the dark, and yet they didn't. So do you think that it's more likely that people never found Antarctica, or if they did, they didn't fucking stay there?
Yeah.
Because Antarctica is a terrible place. No human would want to live in Antarctica.
In the current discussion about
Oh no. Hate to see
I
it.
had to go to a whole thing with a discussion with a friend about how it was that the different generation, the different people that actually inhabited Greenland, because it wasn't originally just the Inuit. There were tribes of people from which they were kind of descended of that were living in around
That's
the Iceland
rude.
area before going to Greenland. But the vast majority of settlers that came to Greenland originally were either from Norway and Denmark that traveled over there and did not fucking stay there because it was fucking cold. They left.
Okay,
This
there.
is literally a thing that everybody has ever done. As soon as the climate sucks, they move away. And only a select few who are willing and or perhaps just desperate to adapt to the climate of the area end up living that way. That's why, for example, you have the likes of the Inuits, or I'm sorry, I was supposed to say, yes, Inuits, because if you say a single person is an Inuk, who have the browner type of skin, right? They feel kind of
Fuck
melanated
you.
even when they don't get that much sunlight. Why is that? Well, that stems from the fact that they've been consuming D vitamin from freaking whales, and this is even an oversimplification of the entire thing.
I learned that trick from Volcana, actually.
Fascinating thing to want to learn about. And then you have the likes of Philip, who are willing to cut it all down to just a soundbite. And that's actually pretty infuriating. Like, you are destroying a lot about people's culture, people's life, and it's reducing it to what? Just a bunch of bullshit.
The only people there are like researchers and shit. There's no plant. Well, there's plants now, but that's a whole different conversation. Drinking to the downfall of humanity. I just read a great book called The Wager. It's amazing. It's about an English ship that gets shipwrecked like off the coast of Patagonia. It takes place in like the 1740s, and it talks about, you know, the journey around and what it's like actually traversing those waters. The waters around the Arctic are so fucking dangerous. There's no reason for people to want to go down there in wooden ships. I also think it's really funny that he says, why didn't we go there when it was a luscious green paradise? Well, we probably would have if we could, but unfortunately we showed up to that about 90 million years too late. I think that where conspiracy theorists get the whole Antarctica being ice-free thing was them vaguely remembering a book they read when they were a kid that talked about how during the late Cretaceous the continent was near the equator, and it was also the warmest the planet has ever been, and so therefore there was like rainforests on it. But there are not rainforests now. The continent is now at the bottom of the planet, and we are at the end of an ice age. So we kind of missed the mark on that one. It's less of a matter of did people reach Antarctica, and more of a matter of if they did,
I don't even
it
have
had
rocks.
nothing to do with it. It is a cold.
What kind of hunter am I not having rocks?
Parts of the year there's literally no sunlight. There's no wood. Like there's just no reason to be there. God, why didn't they colonize the worst place on the planet? Also, another kind of crazy thing that I learned is during the Cretaceous period, which is one of the warmest parts of the planet's history, the atmosphere had 1,000 parts per million of carbon.
Piss off.
During the 1800s, the atmosphere had about 250 parts per million of carbon, which is, you know, pretty low. That's why it's much colder. Do you want to know what the parts per million of carbon is in the atmosphere right now? 450. The parts per million of carbon has doubled since the 1800s. But climate change is just...
I had no luck with the 3 meals that quest.
Consuming and consuming and consuming, and, you know, we can all dance on the grave of the planet later. Who gives a fuck?
Back in 1912, Captain Robert Scott led an expedition to the South Pole.
Oh boy, okay, Robert Scott. Well, you know what that means?
There we go.
It's time to talk about the Hollow Earth.
Heavily restricted tourist travel to the majority of Antarctica. For your own safety, of course.
Oh, of course they want people to be safe. Philip, would you go to Antarctica if you had the option to? Remember what I said earlier about how Antarctica is like the shittiest place ever? I don't think you would. I don't think that's a very nice place to go. I think that you would probably say, no, I'll stick to Aruba, thanks. Although
It's funny that he brings this up because there were a lot of the flat earthers who got a paid trip straight up to Antarctica, paid by Google debunkers who got them there, and inevitably they could not refute it anymore. You even had the likes of, what was it, Candace Owens or Gladys Owens, who had some of her henchmen being down there, and she was like trying to morph and twist and turn to try to justify how the earth was still flat or whatever. the chick believes that the Earth is flat. Like, how anybody takes these people seriously is tiring.
Is this what Endgame Monster Hunter is?
Explain that to people.
I do have a weird hunch.
Just going back and forth and back and forth with Fatalis.
A bit of a Canadian accent at times, and I don't know if I'm like reading into it wrong, considering you look like you're from like Dade County or something. But honestly, I respect a Canadian frat bro. We don't have enough of them. Oh, anyway, where the fuck was I going with that? Oh yeah, conspiracy theorists love to like paint this idea that it's like they're hiding something in Antarctica because they don't want you to go there. Hey, and most importantly, you can go there. There are tours to Antarctica. You can take a ship to Antarctica. I don't know why you'd want to, because it's fucking Antarctica. There's nothing there. It's just snow and ice in every direction forever. And when they say that they restricted travel there, they meant like, you know, individual travel, like personal travel to Antarctica. And of course they restricted that because it's so fucking dangerous. The ocean around Antarctica is the only like unobstructed like ocean current in the entire world, and it's freezing cold. If you guys have seen any videos from like the South Seas, like
Yep.
no, of course they didn't restrict it to.
How is everyone in the chat?
They restricted it because people would fucking die going there.
While scouting, him and his crew stumbled on something that no one in the world would have ever expected. Discovers an enormous opening in the icy surface. Him and his squadron fly into it. They're surrounded by a luscious green
haven't asked that question yet.
giant creatures
Might as
roam
well.
around him, and he's brought to a shimmering rainbow city. He's surrounded by these flying disc-shaped objects that lead him to the ground, and he's brought to a tall being called the Master.
Yep. The Master. Like, even one of the movies that tried to peddle
Doing good, good. Oh, that's good to hear.
Which was Godzilla versus Kong, right? Oh, Kong versus Godzilla. Had an entire explanation.
It's almost bad. My thumb.
The Hollow Earth theory was in fact.
I saw the prompt. It's like, yes, push the button.
A different dimension.
No.
They were like, no.
Don't push the
Sci-fi
button.
bullshit can explain Hollow Earth. It makes no sense.
Yup.
No way. Bullshit. Absolutely fucking not. No, I've
That
come
never
across this
happened.
theory a lot. And you get a lot of these kind of TikTok conspiracy shows talking about how Admiral Byrd flew through the polar opening and into the hollow earth, and his findings were covered up. And I was curious about that, because I've heard a lot of people cite it, but I have no idea where it's from. So in light of doing this video, I had to dig into it a lot. As far as I can tell,
That's the beauty of the Endgame, collecting crowns.
Admiral Byrd's trip is from this book. While here we have
Come on,
a
do the charge strike.
just the hollow earth. The full name is ridiculously long. The full name of this book is, I'm going to have to read it off my laptop because of how long it is, The Hollow Earth, the greatest geographical discovery in history made by Admiral Richard E. Byrd in obscure...
Collecting crowns, typically final monsters, fashion hunting, guiding lands, farming decos. So many options.
Saying to yourself, wow, that sounds like a reputable academic source.
And none of them good. Wait, what?
Published by someone called Dr. Raymond Bernard. It was not published by a Dr. Raymond Bernard. That is a pseudonym. The actual author of this book is called Walter Siegmeister, and
Oh, he had a coat. Sigmeister had a coat. I know this name.
originally put into print in 1964. There are a few precursor Hollow Earth texts, but this seems to be like the one.
If I'm not too mistaken, this dude took inspiration from the whole Edmund Halley, who, of course, has the Halley Comet named after him, but he had this idea that the Earth could have been hollow. Again, brilliant minds sometimes make incredibly stupid things, and so taking inspiration from that, they started peddling a bunch of things that they thought were true, until the likes of Charles Hutton will come forth and actually measure the density of the Earth, proving that there was no way on Earth, pun intended,
don't you
that
do
the
it,
planet could have been hollow.
This is where all the references to, you know,
He
Bird's
did it.
expedition to the South Pole come into play. Now, what's hilarious about this book is it chooses to be wrong in a myriad of ways. One of them is that it gets the dates of...
not having recovery up on this system is not fun.
It says that Byrd did his expedition in a year when he was actually in the North Pole, and then the author decided
Oh,
to
fuck
dumb
you.
it down and say that the expedition he was talking about was a secret one that nobody knew about, which is a really weird way of covering your ass in a situation like that, but I respect the hustle. Now, I have to admit, I haven't read through this book cover to cover, because frankly, this video is already long enough, but I was thinking, if you guys would be at all interested, I'd be more than happy to read this and sort of do a bit of a book review and talk about all of these pages of bullshit. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. I'd be happy to do it.
Just heal that.
Infamous Hollow Earth theory. And yeah, all of this is in his diary.
So Philip claims that all of this information is in his secret lost diary, something that was rediscovered by his son years later. Now, I did find some evidence of an actual diary left behind by Bird, and in it, it had a smoking gun. In it, there was evidence that Bird, in his flyover of the North Pole, may have actually missed the North Pole by like 150 miles. So,
Wait a minute. What's the
in his flyover of...
what's the plane called?
Yeah.
The I mean,
the North Pole may have actually missed
That's
the North Pole
not
by like 150 miles. So,
Skirting for Lantern.
you really care about if you're a big fucking nerd. As for this diary,
Because
it's
150 retaliation.
no, there's no evidence of that.
Improve the chances against shiny Dracula.
So where's that reference from? Well, I did some digging. That would be from this book, The Missing Diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd, A Secret Expedition and Journey to a Paradise Inside the Earth. Now, this is, allegedly, a reprint of The Missing Diary, recreation of Admiral Richard Byrd's historic flight planned by the International Society for a Complete Earth. Readers of this diary who wish for additional information can send something to the Complete Earth Society located in Felton, California. So the scientific among you are now thinking, okay, we have a book that references the Lost Diary, and we have the Lost Diary itself. So that's pretty conclusive, right? This was published in 1960. This diary was published in 1990.
I was gonna whip around. Yep. And by the time
actually has any substance behind it. Now, I know that this is more something that has to do with the print of this particular copy of the diary, but I do think it's worth noting that this entire diary looks like this.
On the bright side, I saw it coming
Now,
like 17,000 miles away.
For some fucking reason.
That's
This is by
why.
a guy named Tim Beckley. Tim Beckley appears to be an
I'm missing the cool stuff.
semi-prolific fiction writer. Here are some of the titles of his other highly scientific works. We got Give Me Your Books, Tim Beckley. Oh no, did he die? Oh, fuck. Asshole. Why won't you go to the books page? Subterranean Worlds Inside Earth. MJ-12 and the Riddle of Hangar 18. Revealing the amazing powers of Harry Houdini. Revealing the amazing powers of Harry Houdini. Updated. Psychic, medium, clairvoyant, prophet, angels of the Lord.
Well, I really didn't have a choice. It's either I capitalized on it or I wouldn't get any hits in.
Kahuna power, authentic chants, prayers, and